the psychology behind narcissistic image and self-deception. What if the most profound deception you ever encountered wasn't a lie someone told you, but a lie they desperately told themselves? A lie so powerful it builds an entirely separate reality, a world where they are flawless, heroic, and always in the right. This isn't a fantasy novel. This is the carefully constructed inner world of a narcissist. Today we're pulling back the curtain, going beyond the surface-level traits to uncover the deep psychological wiring that allows a narcissist to fool themselves so completely that manipulating others feels like a righteous act. The grandiose architect building the false self. To understand a narcissist, you first have to realize you're often not dealing with a completely authentic person. Instead, you're interacting with a sophisticated construct, a carefully designed avatar known as the false self. And this isn't just a mask they put on for parties. For the narcissist, this false self is a fortress built brick by brick to protect a deeply fragile and wounded core. It's an all-encompassing identity, usually assembled in early life, to shield them from overwhelming feelings of shame, inadequacy, and worthlessness. This grandiose image is their lifelong project, an architectural masterpiece of the mind. The building materials are simple but effective: exaggeration, embellishment, and sometimes outright lies. They don't just share achievements, they inflate them into epic victories. They don't just have skills, they possess an unparalleled genius. They spin these self-glorifying fantasies of unlimited success, power, and beauty, not just to impress you, but to convince themselves. These delusions are a powerful balm for the inner emptiness they dare not confront. This false self is more than a defense. It's a complete operating system with its own logic and its own moral code. It's the voice that tells them they're superior and that the normal rules of society just don't apply to them. It's a mythologized identity that can twist a negative feeling like fear into a story of bravery, reinforcing their distorted view of who they are. Anything that contradicts this carefully built reality is ignored, rationalized away, or met with shocking defensiveness and rage. They are in love with this inflated self-image precisely because it allows them to escape the deep-seated insecurity they can't bear to face. The master of self-deception. How they convince themselves. Here's where it gets really unsettling. On a profound level, the narcissist's first victim is always themselves. Their dishonesty isn't just a tool to manipulate you, it's a survival mechanism to manipulate their own reality. This goes way beyond simple denial. It's an active, ongoing process of reality bending designed to protect their grandiose self-image at all costs. So, do they actually believe their own lies? It's complicated. While some narcissists will knowingly lie to get out of trouble, many genuinely believe in their overarching delusions. The delusion that they're superior, that they're always right, and that they're entitled to whatever they want. For others, the self-deception is so profound that their fabrications become their truth. To question their own lies would force them to confront who they really are, and that would cause the entire world they've built to come crashing down. To pull this off, they use a whole toolkit of psychological defenses. When faced with failure or proof of their own bad behavior, guilt doesn't work in the usual way. Instead, they use rationalizations and confabulations. They invent logical-sounding reasons for their actions or even create false memories to paint themselves in a better light. While this may not absolve them of guilt entirely in every case, it helps them maintain a self-perception of being a good person, even while causing harm. This is where their version of reality completely detaches from objective truth. For a narcissist, feelings dictate facts. If they feel powerful, then in their mind, they are powerful. If you present them with facts that contradict their narrative, they don't see it as a simple correction. They see it as a vicious personal attack. The truth just doesn't matter as much as protecting their ego. This level of self-deception allows them to justify almost any behavior because in the world they've built for themselves, their actions are always justified. The external facade, projecting the perfect image. While self-deception protects the narcissist's inner world, image management is how they control the outer world. The two are completely intertwined. The validation they get from you serves as the concrete that reinforces the walls of their false self. A narcissist's life is a performance, and they are always on stage, obsessed with managing their appearance, reputation, and social rank. This creates a state of constant hypervigilance. They're always scanning the room, assessing their status, and watching for any potential threats to their image. Their social strategy is all about climbing the ladder and avoiding any situation that might expose their flaws. This isn't just vanity, it's a desperate, full-time job. In the early stages of a relationship, many rely on charm. They can be witty, captivating, and magnetic, using these skills for self-promotion. They'll embellish stories and boast about their accomplishments to manage the impression they're making. This is why they can seem so charismatic at first. Some are masters of creating a superficial allure designed to draw people in and secure narcissistic supply. The attention and admiration they crave like a drug. But that charm is a tool, not a personality trait. When charm isn't enough, or for narcissists who aren't naturally charismatic, the tactics get more aggressive. They'll put others down to lift themselves up, create conflict, and use dominance to control the people around them. This pivot reveals the true purpose of their image management. It's not about connection, it's about control. It's about making sure the world reflects back the grandiose image they've so carefully built in their own mind. The toolkit of manipulation, tactics for dominance, and control. When the charming facade starts to crack, a more sinister set of tools comes out. These are the tactics of manipulation designed not just to manage their image, but to actively control, confuse, and dominate you to keep that narcissistic supply flowing. One of the most insidious is gaslighting. This is where the narcissist systematically denies reality to make you question your own memory, perception, and sanity. They'll swear they never said something, even if you have proof. They'll tell you you're too sensitive, misremembering, or crazy. The goal is to erode your reality until you become dependent on their version of events. Next is projection and scapegoating. Projection is when they take their own unacceptable traits and pin them on you. A narcissist who lies will accuse everyone else of being dishonest. One who is cheating will become obsessively suspicious of their partner. Scapegoating takes this a step further by blaming one person for everything that goes wrong. This deflects all responsibility from the narcissist and makes them feel powerful. Triangulation is another classic. This involves bringing a third person into your dynamic to create jealousy and conflict. They might constantly praise a coworker to make you feel insecure, or claim their friend agrees that you're being unreasonable. This destabilizes the relationship and keeps the narcissist right where they want to be, at the center of all the attention. To keep you perpetually off balance, they engage in moving the goalposts. No matter how hard you try to please them, they change the rules. The success you achieved yesterday is meaningless today. The very thing they asked for is now the wrong thing. This ensures you're always scrambling for their approval, which keeps you in a subordinate position, focused on their needs. And then there's hoovering. Just when you've decided to leave, they'll try to suck you back in, like a Hoover vacuum. This happens when their narcissistic supply is running low. It can look like sudden apologies, grand declarations of love, or promises to change. These aren't genuine. They're calculated moves to regain control. They often rely on future faking, painting a beautiful picture of a future together that they have absolutely no intention of building. Manipulation is exhausting and painful, but understanding these mechanisms is the first step toward protecting yourself and reclaiming your reality. If this has been helpful, please consider subscribing for more deep dives into psychology and human behavior. We also want to hear from you. Have you seen these tactics firsthand? Share your experience in the comments. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to read. The fallout, the true cost of deception. The intricate web of deception a narcissist weaves leaves a trail of psychological devastation for their victims and ultimately for themselves. For the person on the receiving end, the effects can be catastrophic. Constant gaslighting leads to intense confusion, self-doubt, and anxiety. Victims start to lose trust in their own judgment. Over time, this can lead to learned helplessness, where a person starts to believe they really are as worthless or incapable as the narcissist tells them they are. The relationship becomes a one-way street where one person's sole purpose is to serve the other's ego. The relationship itself is built on a foundation of sand. Because of a limited or conditional capacity for empathy, the narcissist sees relationships in terms of personal gain. Their fragile self-esteem makes them emotionally volatile. Any challenge can be met with explosive rage or icy withdrawal. This often leads to a predictable toxic cycle: idealization, where you are perfect; devaluation, where you suddenly can't do anything right; and discard, where you are tossed aside for a new source of supply. But the tragedy also includes the narcissist. Their survival mechanism, the self-deception, is also their prison. It prevents them from ever truly looking in the mirror. Admitting fault isn't an option because it would threaten the entire grandiose structure they've built. This means they're often trapped in their own dysfunctional patterns, unable to form real bonds or find lasting fulfillment. Their life is a constant, exhausting performance to secure validation, a hollow existence without true self-love or genuine connection. In the end, the psychology of narcissistic self-deception is a story of a paradox, a fortress built to project immense strength that only serves to hide a profound inner fragility. The grand architect who designs this world of fantasy is also its only prisoner, locked in a reality where they are the hero, but they are utterly alone. The lies they tell themselves aren't just falsehoods, they are the very bricks and mortar of their identity. Understanding this dual reality, the projected image and the internal engine of deception, is key. It reveals that the manipulation they inflict on others is just an echo of the manipulation they first perfected on themselves, a desperate, lifelong performance for an audience of one.